Okay, Carl, we are trying to promote you real quick. If you can accept going to panelist. There it is. If you want to give us video, we're good to go. Right. Alrighty. Okay, excellent. This is the Personnel and Ordinance Committee meeting. It is 5:02 and we can call this committee meeting to order. We have all trustees present and staff is Melina and myself. All right, and we do not have anyone in the public right now. Hopefully people are watching this later. So we have two items on our agenda tonight. And this is why let's see, we're going back to the employee handbook updates, which Melina will lead us on.
Yeah, so I figure we can kind of go one by one and then if you have any questions or comments, and then we can move on to the next. First one is in our section 110. This one we just kind of realized that we didn't have our retirement benefits listed under that bulletin point 2. After our first year of employment, we usually give our full-time employees retirement. Did anybody have any questions on that? No. No? Okay, great. All right, number 2, we are proposing that we minimize our full-time employment classification to 36 hours a week rather than 40 hours a week. In the state of Colorado, I wrote in here that it's typically between 30 and 40 hours. I think I actually read somewhere that minimum is 34 hours a week, but we're proposing 36. I think that that's a little more fair. I think 34 is a little bit low. But then we would still propose that over 40 hours would be when overtime would kick in. How are we feeling about lowering our minimum full-time employment to 36 hours a week? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. I think just like having 4 hours be the differential between getting benefits or not.
Yeah,
it's nothing. And I know for the county, I work between 36 or 38 hours a week and I get full benefits. So I'm a strong advocate for this.
Great. Jim, Carl?
I like what Amy just said, and I think we should make it 38 then.
38.
Mm-hmm. I disagree with cutting it out from 40 to 36. I don't understand the reasoning why. But if it's between 36 and 38, I'd go with 38.
I think 36 makes sense to me. I think that's an alignment with a lot of other local government employers, and I think that kind of matches the state of other jobs that employees might be looking at. And if we want to be competitive in different ways, that's one way that we can keep good people.
Yeah, I agree with the 36 as well. I'd be fine with that.
Okay, great. All right. And then this one's kind of a big one. And then I know that Gloria added the math on this down here. On the bottom. This one's kind of big. We're proposing that after reaching 5 years of employment, that we would offer the benefit of adding a family member, either a spouse or a child, to our health insurance plan. Right now, we only cover the employee, and we would be asking that we offer medical, dental, vision, and life insurance for a dependent after reaching the 5-year mark of employment. And this would add a pretty significant cost to our health insurance. Our health insurance program is a good program, but it would be, I think, a really significant benefit. And I do think that it would be a really attractive benefit. And I think that it it would really influence employee retention.
Yeah, so would the town be paying in full for the dependent's health insurance, or would the employee be putting in some money towards that?
The way we have it drafted now is that they'd be paying in full, but that's definitely up for discussion, especially as we started doing the calculations. This came about too because we're thinking about employee retention, and keeping people here and like kind of dangling a carrot at the end. And I do think it might have kept one person here who's leaving, but, yeah, it was just something that came up that we thought maybe we should consider or explore more.
Right now, our policy is that if an employee wants to add on a spouse or children, it's entirely employee paid. Right now, we pay for all employee benefits.
Okay, just.
But if you want to add on a dependent, then it's employee paid.
Yes.
But this would be once reaching the 5-year mark that we would offer one dependent coverage.
I mean, that is a huge benefit. I know it's tough for some families and
Yeah, I mean, it would be a huge benefit, but it would be a pretty big cost to take on, but it would be really nice to offer.
Could you estimate what the annual cost would be? I'm kind of imagining somewhere in like the $8,000 range. Is that correct ballpark?
Well, we did it based off of our employees right now on who would be eligible in like 5 years or who's at their 5-year mark already. And so that's where we broke it down. Like in 2026, we said that like it would probably be an increase about $26,000 now, or $41,000 would be in 2026.
And that would be covering like 5 new dependents, 4, 3, what's the?
That would be the covering one dependent, and then it would also be, well, it would be covering 2 spouses and 1 child.
Two spouses and 1 child.
And that's based off our current employment. And then we kind of went out from there on how much it would be after that, but that's cumulative. So that $41,000 in 2026 would be added on to 2027. That 12,000 would be added on top of that 41,000. So I tried to kind of explain that at the bottom there. So the total increase over the 4 years would be about $90,000.
As in.
That's if the full benefits were
We
paid.
would have 2 employees that would be eligible
Yeah.
for that coverage.
so then it would just be like if they have 3 children, just one of them would get the benefits? or-
Well, if they have 3 children, then you go on the family plan, which is a little different.
Okay,
So if you'll see in 2029, one of our employees would be eligible, and they have a family.
right,
And so that total cost would be 37,000.
okay.
Yeah, my feeling on this is that it's a really attractive benefit, and I think that there's a lot of merit to providing something like that. I personally feel hesitant to provide a 100%, or to get behind providing 100% benefit to a spouse. But I think a pretty heavy subsidy, maybe they pay 50% or even a little bit less. That's something that I could support, because I do think that retaining people long-term is really, really key. But I don't think I could support a 100% amount.
And we could probably do the math on what it would look like to do maybe a 50% match on that.
If we can look at those numbers, I think that'd be great, just to visualize it. But again, I am fully behind benefits for spouses, dependents. It's at this day and age, pretty unattainable at times to get good health insurance, so it's very invaluable. But 100%, that's a huge budget impact as well, so.
Mhm.
Do we have any more comments on that, or should we move on? Jim?
I agree with Carl on this one. I'd be interested in seeing what other Colorado state agencies fund additional family members. And I know from the private sector, you can purchase additional coverage and the company will kick in a certain percentage, but not 100%. And coming off a difficult year where we're trying to cut spending and looking years ahead, and trying to just be fiscally responsible, I do want to encourage retention within the ranks, but also smart fiscal policy going forward.
Excellent. So it sounds like we can flesh this one out a little bit more, well, a lot more, with kind of maybe looking at 25, 50, somewhere around those percentages, and then also looking at and giving you guys some comparison to other agencies. So we'll do that research on the background and bring it back to you all.
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, and then next one, pretty straightforward. We have our retirement plan with the Colorado Retirement Association. At the moment, our standard base is a 3% match. Town puts in 3%, employees put in 3%. It's not a great retirement plan. It's fine. We would like to bump that up to a 4% match. Just to try and get our retirement accounts a little healthier than they are right now.
Some comparative communities, they give anywhere from 5% to 13%.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with 4%.
great.
I am too. Yeah, I'm a teacher because I really love the work, but another big reason that this has been attractive as a career field for me is because of the benefits. And the effective match that schools pay into para is like almost 20%. And that's why as teachers and as various public employees in the state, we have such an amazing pension system. And I think that local government employees should also get as much help as they can with retirement, within reason that, I think 4% is a small increase and I don't see any reason not to do that.
Agreed.
Great.
Yeah, we're increasing it by 1% to 4%.
Right,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we're at
And
3%.
and you did say that the other comparatives are between 5 and 13.
yeah,
Thank you.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm for that.
Great. Next, we have our policy around comp time. We've just identified a cap of 60 hours for our full-time employees, or I guess our salaried employees, especially if we're going to move to 36 hours a week. We would also like to just add a policy that comp time would only kick in once we reach that 40-hour cap. I don't think that there's any reason for comp time to kick in after 36 hours. Doesn't seem necessary. Because then we're just accruing way too much extra time. That makes sense to everybody.
Yeah, the 36 hours was really meant to be for benefits.
Yeah, absolutely.
But any kind of overtime or comp time.
Because and essentially comp time is extra PTO.
Absolutely. So makes sense to me.
Yeah, and then Gloria, do you kind of want to take this last one since this was more your addition to the?
Yeah, sorry, I just added to your memo before I put it out there. When we did the overhaul on the employee handbook, what we didn't do and what we need to do is a classification and compensation plan at some point. So this includes like the rates, separating people out onto like you are rate 5, rate 4. And then it also gives ranges like you're from, and so I tried to do this myself when I first started, but I'm realizing that a professional compensation plan is really what we're needing, especially when it comes to giving any kind of raises or incentives. Having a policy in place for that is essential. And that's one thing that I really wanted to harp on this year and to try and get accomplished either this year or next year sooner rather than later, because I am getting asked on, well, if I take this certification, what is my raise? And right now it's pretty arbitrary because I don't have a policy in place. So I would love to see some kind of policy in place. Now, when I quoted this several years ago, it was $5,000 for the study. I would like to go back out and see what someone could do for us. What I did when I did it myself was I went onto Colorado Municipal League site, and they have kind of a comprehensive-ish list of salary ranges throughout the state. But it's really difficult to say like that Molina's salary is the exact, or Molina's job description is the same as Paonia's clerk's job description. And so really having professional help with that to define those. So that's something I'm requesting or putting on your radar as well, that I will be requesting as soon as I find a good deal on one, basically. But wanted you all to understand that. Is there any questions on that?
I think it's great. Okay.
So that'll likely come to the whole board because it's not something I put in my budget. Because I hadn't had time to like really go out and ask people like, what's the new price for this compensation plan? So.
Yeah. All right. Great.
All right, and that covers our employee handbook. Is there anything else in there that you all wanted to bring up?
Not I.
Excellent. All right, so our next agenda item is guns and trustee chambers. So the state legislature passed Senate Bill 24-131. This is prohibiting carrying firearms in sensitive spaces. So just so you know that if we were to opt out, this would only apply to government buildings and that we own. So this would not apply to the school or to the county building, just to ours. And we did end up opting out. And we did that because we don't have the funding for security guard or equipment to detect firearms. And we didn't want our front staff to be the enforcers of a law without any kind of training, especially if they're telling someone to take a firearm outside. But this did bring up discussion at our trustee meeting to bounce it back to this group to discuss possibly how to regulate guns in the trustee chambers. And wanted to kind of bring that back up since it came from the board.
Yeah, and I mean, us opting out is just keeping everything as it is,
Correct.
right? Before this, we never had this language in our code before.
No, and it's not in our code. It's just a statute, a state statute that we would have to follow if we did not opt out.
But like our local code, we never had language like this in there.
We do, I'll have to double check that as far as our local code goes.
And I can look at it.
Okay, great.
I
don't think we do, but we'll double check.
So we opted out, we're just discussing specifically trustee chambers, is that?
Yeah, and so I think it was trustee George that came up and said, well, I'm concerned about guns in trustee chambers. Like if the trustees were to have a meeting and have a big decision to be made and there were several people in the audience with guns, if that would affect the decision.
Right.
Yeah, my feeling personally is I think that the issue is really about optics and it's about the appearance of, being threatening or menacing in any way and that affecting, free and open discourse. So I personally don't have any issue with people carrying licensed individuals carrying concealed firearms. I have an issue with people open carrying during meetings.
I 100% agree with Carl. Carl, eloquently stated, sir. It's perfect.
And no, we don't have anything in our code that specifically states for the building itself. We have lots of stuff like in our.
No, I mean, we have a whole section on weapons
Mhm.
in our code, but it doesn't specifically say anything about our municipal buildings. We have a section on carrying concealed weapons, but it doesn't say anything specifically about our buildings, no.
And the court room does have a sign that says no weapons. And if that's something that you guys wanted to do here, like we just bring that court sign over or something more. I'm just giving you options on what you guys can do to address it if you'd like.
I mean, I'm okay with putting a sign up. If we did anything else, would we need to have a law enforcement officer at each of our meetings then to vet everyone or? Yeah,
I mean, I would recommend that.
Yeah.
If we put a law in place, I'm gonna want to enforce it somehow.
If a weapon is confiscated, the judge is supposed to bring it to you and then you are supposed to dispose of it.
Yes, I am supposed to dispose of guns.
oh,
Rewriting our municipal code is also on our, our judicial code is also on the list.
Yeah, my feeling is that it is a legitimate concern. But to my knowledge, it hasn't been an actual issue to date. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes, Jim's been here the longest, so I will go with.
No,
what
that
he-
is correct. Yes.
I mean, we've had contentious meetings before, knowing that they're going to be contentious. I have requested law enforcement to be present. But
Colorado is an open carry state. This is my personal belief. Bad people are going to do bad things, regardless of what signs up on the wall, regardless of how nice you ask someone not to do something, they're just going to do it. I think in a town our size, and we've already waived this and opted out because we don't want those individuals downstairs to be the front line of defense, if that makes sense. I mean, we can put up a sign. I think personally, I feel that it infringes on our state and on our rights personally. I'm probably in the minority on this one, but I know people that have concealed carry. I'm one of them. It doesn't mean I carry with me, but I went and got it. I think it's smart to get certified. But for those people that do have it, that have taken the course, they shouldn't be punished. And 9 times out of 10, what you do here is it's those individuals that end up saving everybody else in these gun-free zones that we create. I personally don't think we need to do it, but like I said, I'm in the minority.
I mean, I'm okay with going more of the social enforcement route, putting up a sign, without making it into law, but just to have something there.
Yeah, I could support that. Yeah, again, I think, I do think I agree with Jim on a lot of this, that it's not our place, nor is it important for us to, you know, try to tackle this big issue. I think that it's pretty clear what the law and culture is in our state, and what's important is just that these meetings happen in a way that people feel like they can, you know, conduct their business honestly. And I think that really just comes down to this kind of threatening atmosphere that can be created when people are coming in with firearms that are very obvious. And that's my specific concern. I don't have an answer for how that is actually addressed in practice, unfortunately.
So I do remember when it was kicked back to this committee, they said, well, can we discuss it in the committee? I don't know if we want to like give a recommendation as a committee on how to move forward, or update the trustees at the next meeting on this discussion. It would really be up to you on how you want to kind of approach this topic.
And the board did vote to opt out, like we did opt out, right?
Yes. Was there any other information that you all need that staff can provide to help you with this discussion?
I'm still okay with opting out. Us doing this is keeping it how it was for years, and not to say something will happen, but I don't recall trustees in the past being threatened by a gun or a weapon before. But I do support putting up a sign for a social enforcement piece.
Oh, well, it sounds like Amy and Carl, you both support the sign to enter the trustee chambers. We can maybe report that back out to the trustees and have a quick discussion on Monday night.
Okay.
Would that work? Okay,
Maybe they,
would that work, Jim?
Whatever you guys want to do.
Okay. And then there was, since this is a continuation of the Personnel and Ordinance Committee that we tried to hold in December, there was a section on there that said OHV route, possible reopening. That is something that I would like the entire board to direct, give staff direction on, since it is a contentious issue. So if the entire board would like to do that, and you can bring this up in your report of the committee, then I think we can bring it to the whole board. Just bringing it out to a segmented portion of the board when it's such a hot topic, I think, maybe is a disservice. So I will await more orders from, or direction from the entire board on that, just on that topic, if that is okay.
that's okay.
Jim?
And what is this again?
It was for the
I'm so
OH.
sorry.
Yeah, so we had 3 topics on the last meeting. The guns and we had these 2 topics, and then we also had the opening up the bypass road for OHV use. And that had come from one trustee over our retreat. And we had put that on a personnel and ordinance committee in December. I did not include it in this personnel and ordinance committee meeting. Just given the level of response that I received from the community, I would like that to be directed by the entire board for if you want to reconsider it or not.
Thank you.
All right. All right, well, it's 32 minutes in and I don't have anything else for you all. So
Okay.
I hope you can have a wonderful night and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, y'all. Thanks.
There is someone online that has their hand up. Do you all
Oh.
want to comment?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, yeah. All right, we're going to allow user MFS to talk. And if you could please identify yourself.
This is this is John Wright speaking. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you, John.
Very good. Before the discussion that you've recommended to go forward to the full town board, I now recommend that the letter of March 19th, 2022, sent to the members of the town board at that particular time, of which the administrator and various trustees have copies, that be redistributed again to feed the discussion. That is the end of my comments. Do you acknowledge having heard me?
Yes, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm out of here. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, and with that, we will adjourn our Personnel and Ordinance Committee meeting. It is 5:34.
See you guys.